Tag, you're it.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Law, and this is going to be our expedited accusation calendar for today, October 17th, 2024. And we're going to address these new cases in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Their cases have already been formally accused, and today would be their initial appearance. If you're a defendant, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. There are a couple of individuals here who are either witnesses or victims who've got very inappropriate pictures on their screen. So this Zoom user in a sleeveless t-shirt, could you please put them in the waiting room? And this individual with the name T, please put them in a waiting room. Who do we have for the first case?
Your Honor, can I give you the reset date?
Oh, yes, please.
Yes, it's going to be October the 31st.
We're gonna start with position number 5, Miss Holloway.
This is State versus Mary Jill Holloway, 24 CR 7103H, accused of criminal trespass from August 25th. Ms. Holloway, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
42. Got an open trespass in state court, 24 CR 0029948. On probation in Superior Court for burglary in the second.
Okay.
Should have gone to court today for burglary, criminal damage to property. I'm not sure. The bond was 12,500. That's what it was.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Holloway, right?
Correct.
Okay, Miss Holloway, this incident happened August 25th. She entered the Akins estate at Clark Atlanta University. This is property that is fenced, padlocked, and has no trespassing signs. Given her history and her open case that she currently has a bench warrant for, we're requesting a 1,000 good bond, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Mr. Cook?
Yeah, Sean, my client is 41 years old. She is not working. She is homeless. Doesn't appear like she's even in shelters. She has a pretty big nut to crack there in a Superior Court as far as a bond. We would like to keep, we understand it's probably not a signature bond case, but we would like to keep the surety bond as low as possible.
Was it 500?
Your Honor, we were recommending 1,000, but no objection to 500 if the court prefers that.
I don't know if you can bond out on a 500 through a bonding company, but I'll maintain the $500 surety bond. Stay away from the incident location. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons.
Thank you.
Number 13. Come on, man. You gotta wake up and pay attention.
Number 13, this is State versus Lilia Mitchell, accused of simple assault, simple battery at a public transit vehicle, and battery, as well as terroristic threats and acts, and obtaining unlawful entry into MOTA, criminal trespass causing damage to property, and last but not least, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. These are charges stemming from a October 7th, 2024 incident, and the last one appears to be the willful obstruction from yesterday, October 16th. The accusation is 24 CR 7108Y. Ms. Mitchell, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Is she going to be a conflict?
Your Honor, it will be McLean today.
Oh, Mr. McLean, okay. Yes, Mr. McLean, and I'm sorry, Mr. Jones,
16.
what's your recommend? Oh, 16? Okay. God, no, that's okay.
Okay.
16. Go ahead. I was trying to figure out the attorneys in this case, but go ahead, Mr. Howard.
Okay.
16 cycles. Any open cases?
Not any open. She just got convictions and stuff.
What was the last conviction?
2019 giving false name. 2017 simple battery conviction. Possession of meth, cocaine, trespass from 17. She got some FTAs.
From which year?
The FTA is 2019, 2018, 2017.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. So, this incident took place on October the 7th, where officers were able to actually, 2 days later, they were finally able to observe the video footage that showed that the defendant boards the bus, and upon boarding the bus, she's asking the patrons for $2.50. No one complies. She takes it upon herself to go and sit down without paying the bus fare. Your Honor, and at 8:36, the defendant confronts the victim, Miss Bailey, which is the bus driver, over not being able to ride for free. At 8:37, 1 minute later, the defendant hits the plastic partition and kicks the partition, spits on the partition, and then spits on the glass. From there, the defendant flees off of the bus and throws a bottle at the bus door and begins to kick the door. This bottle essentially breaks the glass to the door. After that, she then picks up a rock and throws a rock through the bus through another door, which breaks that, and that glass actually cuts the bus driver, Miss Bailey. So then on 10/16 is when officers finally observed the defendant matching the description of the person on the video, in which they go to arrest her, and she begins to resist. As Your Honor is aware, she has a 2017 FTA, 2019 FTA, a 2018 probation violation, and a 2019 probation violation. Therefore, the state's recommendation is a $7,500 surety bond. The breakdown is as follows. On the simple assault is a $1,500 surety bond. The simple battery to a public transit is $1,500. The battery is going to be $3,000 surety bond. The terroristic threats and acts is $500 surety bond. The obtaining unlawful entry is $250 surety bond, and a criminal trespass and damage to property is $500, bringing the total to a $7,500 surety bond. Stay away from all martyr and no further contact with Miss Veronica, Levonica Bailey, and if the court could have signed for her at the appropriate time.
Veronica Bailey, are you on Zoom? Okay. Mr. McLean?
Hard to know where to start, Your Honor. I was trying to convince my client that would be in her interest to reset the case a couple of days, have a social worker visit the BHET. I don't think I succeeded. The factors involved with her, she lives in Dunwoody with her parents. She says she checks her mail there, and she actually lives there. So as far as the factors go on showing up for court, theoretically, there's no reason why she can't show up for court, despite the fact that I hear from the other side that there have been FTAs. She is not currently employed. She did have legitimate reasons to be in the neighborhood. Sounds pretty darn bad day. We'd really like to get her some help, but I don't know that's really going to be starting right now.
Okay. Each count will be a $500 surety bond. Her total bond is $3,500. She's to stay away from all martyr property and have no contact with Veronica Bailey. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons. Her next court date will be October 31st. Thank you. Next case, please.
We can go to add-on position 1 at the Alpharetta jail.
Good afternoon, Judge. I think that's mine.
For the add-on?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Let me see. All right. This is going to, at the Alpharetta jail. Okay, is that the lady in the brown shirt? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Miss Fallon Brink. You've got a new accusation, 24 CR 007-114A. And Ms. Brink has got the following charges stemming from a driving incident from today. Improper and erratic lane change, operating without lights, driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, possession of an open alcohol container, and willful obstruction of an officer. Ms. Brink, you will have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you presently is Mr. Majeski. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
No.
All right. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident happened around 2:30 this morning. Officers observed the defendant's vehicle failing to maintain its lane and without headlights. Initiated a traffic stop. Officer made contact with her, observed red, watery eyes, odor of alcohol, an open red wine thing in the center console. She was asked to exit the vehicle. Officer observed she was unsteady on her feet. She refused the voluntary bodily fluid test. The officer then obtained a search warrant for her blood. She refused to comply with the search warrant, Your Honor. It's her first arrest. The state's requesting a signature bond, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
All right. Mr. Majeski, the state's agreeing to a signature bond, but then on the DUI is going to be a 1,500 surety. Anything
Really
to
hard to
add?
argue with that, Judge. If you're inclined to accept it, then I'm not gonna argue against myself.
All right. On the improper erratic lane change is going to be 1,000. Operating without lights is 1,000. The DUI is going to be a 1,500 surety. Everything else I'm mentioning is signature bond through pretrial, with the exception of the DUI. Possession of an open alcohol container is 1,000. Willful obstructions 1,000. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4,000 signature bond through pretrial. Level 1, no alcohol, no illegal drugs, and no firearms. She'll be subject to random screens for alcohol consumption, and no driving unless you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. The DUI is going to be a 1,500 surety bond. So,
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Bridgewater, that will be a total of, I believe, 5,500 split bond.
And Judge, did I hear you say we got a reset date of October 31st on these?
October 31st, if she doesn't make bond. If she does make bond, it will be further noticed, and just need to make sure that we've got a good address on her.
Yes, Judge, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Majeski.
Good to see you, but that's all I have. Can I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Position number 15, Ms. Stokes.
Was that 15?
Yes.
All right. This is Shakira Stokes, accused of harassing communications, terroristic threats and acts, and criminal trespass from June 6th of this year. Accusation 24 CR 7111C. Ms. Stokes, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean.
Third, last arrest was January, suspended registration. 2018 ag assault dismissed.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident has taken place over some time, Your Honor. The documented date that we're here for is June 6th of 2024, where the defendant began calling the victim and texting the victim, Miss Jeter, during work hours. She has also, over numerous occasions, spit at Miss Jeter's car. From there, she's also sent pictures of the victim's home, and as recent as Saturday, she sent the victim a text message that said she was going to beat her, cuss word. Your Honor, all of this stems from the defendant is involved in a relationship with the victim's husband, Your Honor. We did have an opportunity to speak with the victim, and she stated that her ex-husband had an affair with the defendant, and the defendant is now living with her husband. She stated that she doesn't know why the defendant is still harassing her. The victim stated that the harassment has gone so far that she recently had to move. She stated that she lives with multiple people, and she's concerned for everyone's safety, Your Honor. The victim stated that she had called the police several times and even filed for a TPO, but unfortunately they are unable to affect service. The victim did confirm the events in the warrant. She's asking for no further contact, anger management. She really wants to stay away, but she's afraid that if we get to stay away, the defendant will find out her new address. Therefore, the state's recommendation is going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services. No further contact with Ms. Stokes or any family members or through third party. If the court can sound for her at the appropriate time, sound for Ms. Stokes at the appropriate time.
Ms. Stokes, if you want to contribute to these proceedings, this is the time to start.
I'm sorry, Ms. Jeter, Your Honor.
Ms. Jeter, excuse me. All right, Ms. Jeter, if you'd like to, there she is, Sherry Jeter. If you want to contribute to the proceedings, please go ahead and start your video and unmute. Otherwise, we're moving on. Mr. McLean, what's your take? Any objection to the stay away and so forth? Are you on mute, Mr. McLean? Mr. McLean, you're on mute. Is Mr. McLean her attorney? Mr. McLean, you're on mute, sir.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was just on the phone there with Ms. Rockwell, who's coming in on the Stokes case.
Oh, is she representing?
Yeah, she's going to log in on the Stokes case. Does that by coincidence happen to be the case y'all are calling?
Yep, what a coinkydink. All right.
There-
All right, as soon as Ms. Rockwell joins, we'll revisit that. Next case, please.
ACDC, good afternoon, Your Honor. Position
afternoon.
1.
Position 1.
Yes, Miss. What's your name again?
Raising
Miss Raisen
Davis.
Miss Davis. Position 1.
I don't know why. Okay, there we go. Raisen Davis is accused of battery, family violence, and cruelty in the third degree under accusation 24 CR 7099C from October 16th, 2024. Ms. Davis, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
No,
No? Okay.
no.
All right.
That's my
Miss-
case, Your Honor.
Yeah, Ms. Desiano?
I have the same. Your Honor, this incident took place yesterday. Incident location is 1760 Northside Drive, Unit 342. The victim in this case is Javis Allen. He's the defendant's husband. He advised there was a verbal dispute over the paternity of their youngest child, who's 1 month old. The argument got physical. The defendant tried to physically restrain the victim, pushed him on the bed, and scratched him in the face. The officer observed the victim was bleeding on his face. The altercation took place in front of their 6-year-old child, initials KD. The 1 month old was in the next room over. Part of this altercation was caught on video. The defendant also admitted to shoving the victim on the bed. And at some point during this argument, Your Honor, the victim left with the 1 month old and the defendant got into the back of the truck bed and the victim drove away for a few minutes, leaving the 6-year-old home alone for a few minutes. They returned back to the location. The police were on scene. The warrant notes that the parties have a history of verbal and physical disputes with each other. Although I understand this is the defendant's first arrest, we've been in touch with Mr. Allen. He states that he's married to the defendant. They have the 1 month olds. They have 3 children, but only the 1 month old is his. They reside together at the incident location. He confirmed there's a DV history. It's mostly verbal. He said this is the first time the police have been called. He states that he would like contact and for the defendant to return to the residence. We're requesting a signature bond through pretrial services. As far as contact goes, Your Honor, the state at this point would request no contact given the notes from the warrant that these altercations happen frequently and the victim's statements that the altercations are mostly verbal, implying, of course, that some of them are not just verbal. Anger awareness, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Mr. Allen, I believe he's on the Zoom.
Mr. Javis Allen, is he one of the individuals I put in the waiting room or?
No, I'm right here, man.
All right, you need to start your video and unmute.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, solemnly
All right.
swear.
So you are legally married to Miss Davis,
Yes, ma'am.
and you are comfortable with her coming home with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many children live in the home?
3.
And of these 3 children, you said there was an issue of paternity. What's the issue of paternity? Are you filing a legitimation action?
I wanna get a DNA. Me and my wife, we agreed to split up because we was arguing. I am a military veteran. I do have PTSD. So when I was going through, we was mostly
So are you
verbal,
splitting up or you're not splitting up?
not splitting up.
But you're challenging paternity.
Yes, I was making because when I can't, basically her coming back to this, we're
So you're
coming
not
back.
sure, you're not sure the 1-month-old is your child?
No, I'm not sure.
All right. Do you live at the marital home
Yes,
at 1760 Northside Drive?
yes, ma'am.
Well, y'all can't live together for a while, so someone needs to move out. Either most likely she has to move out or you move out. So,
I'll move out.
okay. Mr. Cook, any objection to the signature bond?
No objection, Your Honor. I guess since he's moving out and there'd be you had already ruled there'd be no contact, we would have then therefore not worth pursuing.
Not while he's challenging paternity of a child that he shares with his wife. I'm not sure if that's conducive to a very, very peaceful environment.
Well, I
So,
object, Your Honor. Me and my wife, we don't argue all the time. We argue like every other couple.
Mr.
Yeah.
Allen,
Oh.
your wife is in jail in handcuffs, and you were allegedly bleeding and when the police was there. I don't know what you mean by y'all don't argue, but I think you need a reality test. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. On the battery family violence, the bond is going to be set at 2,500, and the cruelty is going to be set at 1,000. This is going to be a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. Ms. Davis, you are to have no further contact with Javis Allen. You are to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. Within 30 days of being released, you will enroll in a domestic violence program, and you will report to your pretrial officer of your date of enrollment, and you will attend all 26 classes at your expense. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. You may return to the family home one time only with a police officer to verify that Javis Allen no longer lives there. Javis Allen has indicated that he's voluntarily moving out of the place. So, Mr. Allen, if you're moving out, you need to make sure that you are not there when she moves back in after coming back from jail, because she cannot have any contact with you.
So what about if the DNA come back in his mind? What's the next steps?
To do what now?
What if the baby is mine? What's the next steps?
Then you contact the victim advocate office and ask the prosecutor to file a motion to amend the bond order to no violent contact.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Next, Ms. Davis, your next court date will be sent to your mailing address. Thank you. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
Number 2, Edwards.
George Edwards is accused of simple battery family violence under 24 CR 7100Y from October 16th. Mr. Edwards, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors?
23. On probation in the cab for ag assault. Also another ag assault. 2021 probation, 2019 probation, 2018 simple battery conviction, 2016 battery DV second subsequent conviction.
That's good. Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident happened yesterday. Incident location is 950 New Hope Road. The victim is the mother of the defendant's children. Her name is Unique McNeil. She stated the defendant was intoxicated. He was arguing with the neighbors. She went out to defuse the situation. The parties returned inside. The defendant apparently felt like the victim took the neighbor's side and an argument started over that. He charged at her. She pushed him away. And then he began pulling her hair and he punched her in the face. At that point, the victim bit the defendant in self-defense and called 911. The victim had no injuries, Your Honor. The defendant did have that bite mark. He has an extensive violent history, including several prior family violence convictions that pretrial didn't get to, Your Honor, stemming from really the 90s to present. And we have been in touch with the victim today. She states that they have 3 children together. They do reside together. The incident location is her brother's home. There's obviously a DV history. He's on parole. She is especially threatened by him at this point because he apparently threatened her after he got arrested. She's scared of him. She wants no contact and a stay away. She's requesting a third-party transfer of children. We would object to that at this point, given his criminal history, Your Honor. We're requesting a cash bond or a high surety bond, Your Honor, no contact and stay away. We're also asking for FVIP and an alcohol and drug evaluation, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Ms. McNeil.
Ms. McNeil? Unique McNeil? All right, Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client obviously can and wants to stay away and have no further contact and have no further contact with her and stay away from the incident location. He doesn't live there. They live miles apart, apparently. Beyond that, as far as the disposition on the level of bond, he is on disability, makes under $800 a month. We would ask that the bond be as low as the court can possibly make it. Otherwise, it becomes just no bond at all.
Okay. Bond is set at $3,000. It's going to be a surety bond. Next court date is going to be October 31st. No contact with the victim, Unique McNeil, to stay away from the incident location. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna go back to number 15, Ms. Stokes.
All right. Ms. Rockwell?
Yes, Judge.
All right. We thought Mr. McLean was representing her, so we'd already gone through the whole soliloquy.
Okay.
But I'm going
I'll
to
waive
grant.
it.
I'm
You
going
don't
to
have to repeat
grant.
it for me.
Oh, well, word for word or like just a brief
No, you
summary?
do not have to repeat it for me. I've
All
heard it
right.
before, I guess, a couple of times.
Okay, what I was going to say is that I was going to grant a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial, but she's to stay 500 yards away from Sherry Jeter. And Ms. Bridgewater, the breakdown is going to be $2,000 for the harassing communications, $2,000 for the terroristic threats, and $1,000 for the criminal trespass. This is going to be a level 3 report. She will report to pretrial once a week. She is to make sure that she does not communicate with Ms. Jeter in any way, form, or manner, including in-person, mail, email, phone, computers, devices, phone. She can't even discuss her on any kind of social media platform, and definitely not try to communicate with her through a third party. To stay away from the incident location, and do not consume any alcohol, no illegal drugs, and not possess and own any firearms. Must maintain a good address with the court and show up when summoned.
Thank you. I have it.
Judge, could I get that case number, please?
Sure, 24 CR 007 111C. Ms. Stokes, you have a signature bond through pretrial, but you're required to report once a week. If you fail to report, or if you get arrested again for anything else, or if you violate the conditions of the bond, the $5,000 signature bond will be amended to either a cash bond or a surety bond. Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Rockwell?
That's all. May I be excused, Judge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much.
Mhm.
Position 3, Fuller.
This is State versus Zion Fuller Gerald, accused of simple battery family violence from October 11th. Mr. Fuller Gerald, you've been advised of your rights, and your accusation number is 24 CR 7101Y. Your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Any priors?
8. Got an open simple battery DV obstruction out of state courts.
Your Honor, this was a conflict. We represent the alleged victim in a 24 CR case. So I put the paperwork in early this morning, so I don't know what the
She's on here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, let's revise that. Mr. Fuller Gerald, your attorney is going to be Miss Maureen McLeod. What was the open case number?
23 CR. They got too many numbers on here, and I don't see the letter. I'll look it up.
Okay.
You got it?
23, yeah, I got it. 23 CR 00. Oh, I see what you're saying. There is too many. It's 5554Y. Maybe an extra 4.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on his GCIC?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Open case out of Clayton County, simple battery obstruction. Open DeKalb burglary, 1st degree. And I opened DeKalb criminal damage to property, 2nd degree. 2023 FTA. That's it.
Miss Desiano?
And Your Honor, he was arrested yesterday for criminal damage to property, 24 PI 007617. The open case in state court and the case he was arrested for yesterday, in addition to this case, is all the same victim, Your Honor. The victim is Quenton Bunch. This incident took place on October 11th. His residence is 600 Greens Ferry Avenue. These parties used to be in a relationship together. Victim stated that the parties were arguing over the past. The defendant threw a drink at him. A neighbor came out at some point, asked them to quiet down. And at that point, the defendant turned around and struck the victim in the back of the head, began to walk back into the apartment and struck the victim in the back of the head again. At that point, the victim called the police, at which point the defendant then started throwing things all over the apartment and everything was in disarray, and he fled before police arrived. And just very briefly, a couple days later, so this incident happened on the 11th, on the 15th, he showed up to the same residence at 11:30 at night and started throwing bricks and rocks into the living room windows. And that's the felony case for criminal damage to property that he should have been on first appearance this morning. In the open case for the 23 CR case, Your Honor, he's ordered to have no contact with this victim and stay away from this incident address where all these things keep happening. Judge Mincy gave him a $4,000 SOB through the jail and also ordered that he undergo an alcohol and drug evaluation and comply with his medication. Speaking with the victim, there's an MH issue. He's not compliant with his medication and it's causing aggressive episodes. However, they're not supposed to be in contact anyway. He's requesting no violent contact. We certainly object to that. And at this point, Your Honor, because he's in violation of his bond and he's got now 3 open cases with the same victim, we are asking for a cash bond or in the alternative, a high surety bond. Absolutely no contact and stay away. Perhaps the defense can weigh in, but we'd also ask for an MHET. I'm not sure if he's had one. Sounds like he may have had one already. We're also asking for FVIP at this point, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Mr. Bunch.
Quenton Bunch, if you'd like to contribute, this is the time to unmute and start your video. By the way, the open case is 23 CR 005-554Y and scheduled for a jury trial on November 14th of this year. All right, Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor, good afternoon. My client is 24 years old. He tells me that on this occasion, he was the one who called the police. He also tells me that Miss Quenton, I believe his name is, that he was, the reason that we're having this argument was that he was haranguing him about having the charges against him dismissed, because apparently my client has been a victim in an open case that this gentleman was the defendant in. And he was arguing with my client and putting pressure on him to get this case dismissed and not cooperate with the state to get with this case. And that was what started this argument between them. And it is true that my client went to the felony appearance this morning. He received a UGR there, Your Honor. That's my understanding. And I would ask the court to consider giving my client a UGR as well. He tells me that he has his own place. He give me an address where he lives, where is not this address. And he tells me that as far as he's concerned, they are no longer in a relationship, that they broke up sometime.
Oh man,
All right.
I'm unmuted.
Is somebody speaking? I'm sorry, Ms. McLeod? All right, please, and yes, sorry.
It may be the alleged victim, Your Honor. I think, Mr.
Well, Quenton Bunch, if you want to say something, you need to unmute and start your video. I don't know, I see a picture of a dog up there for a Zoom user. All right. Anything else, Ms. McLeod?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. My concern is the signature bond that he received last year, where he was not required, he was ordered not to have any contact with Quenton Bunch. I'm not certain how this came about, but the bond presently is going to be $2,500. It's going to be a cash bond only. No contact. That means stay 200 yards away from Quenton Bunch. Do not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. And your next court date is going to be October 31st. And we will be addressing both your cases, even the one that's scheduled for trial, which is 23 CR 0055541.
Your Honor.
All right.
I was trying to speak, but I don't,
Oh, no, God. No. We're not doing this. We are not doing this. Go ahead and put Quenton Bunch or that silly talking dog picture there in the waiting room, please. Thank you. All right. Okay. Next case, please.
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. McLeod.
You're welcome.
Number 4, Henderson.
This is Douglas Henderson, accused of 1, 2, 3, 4 counts of theft by deception, ranging from June 6th of this year through June 15th of this year. Case number 24 CR 7102C. Mr. Henderson, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is Mr. Cook. And any priors?
17. Got open burglary, 2nd degree. Criminal damage to property out of Douglas County. Open burglary in Fulton, 2nd degree. It's 24 SC 003389.
That's good. Thank you.
I got one more. It's actually it's more burglaries though, but okay.
2 open burglaries. That's
But no, it got one out of, okay, because you got one out of Coweta.
All right. Ms. Desiano, what's the bond recommendation?
Your Honor, we're requesting a $1,000 surety on each count. Stay away from the incident location, which is a pawn shop, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And that's based on, there was an investigation actually related to a Henry County burglary. Officers from McDonough Police were at the pawn shop in Fairburn, and they contacted APD because they found the stolen property from the Henry County burglary at the pawn shop. They looked up the tickets on who purchased them. It came back to the defendant. There were 4 transactions total. All of them are under $1,500 where these tools were sold. The first one was on June 6th for $30. Second one on June 6th for $700. The next one on the 10th for $750. And the next one on the 15th for $900.
Okay. Mr. Cook, anything else to add?
Only that he's 35 years old, Your Honor, and he's currently working as a canvasser in this upcoming election, so that's probably not going to last very much longer. Has modest income, and we'd just like to keep the bond as low as possible. We understand the situation.
Well, $1,000 on each count. That's a $4,000 surety. No further, to stay away from the pawn shop in question, and his next court date is October 31st. Thank you.
Number 10.
This is Mr. Ami Mahanazan, accused of driving without a valid license, no insurance, improper right turn, and hit and run, failure of the driver to return to the scene of the accident. This was from September 13th, 2024. Mr. Mahanazan, is this the one where we requested an interpreter, or was this a medical reset?
Medical reset.
Okay.
He was medical reset from yesterday.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mahanazan, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Any priors?
18, 2019 theft of services dismissed, 2015 FTA. Jail is a recommendation.
All right. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident took place back on September 13th, 2024, while officers responded to Holcomb Bridge, where they made contact with the driver of a gold 2015 Honda Pilot stopped at the red light. The driver informed the officer that the accused was driving a silver 2007 Honda Accord. The accused turned right at a wide angle and struck the Honda Pilot. He then walked around the vehicle using, while talking to his cell phone, and returned back to the vehicle, ultimately fleeing the scene. From there, officers used the rock resources to locate the Honda Accord due to its distinctive peeling paint. Therefore, that hit back to a place called iCars, where iCars immediately identified the defendant's business as the owner of the car. Officers did a subsequent search that brought the car back in the business back to this particular person. Your Honor, the insurance was canceled on September 4th, 2024 for non-payment. So that's the basis for the no insurance. The state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, $1,000 on each count.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client is 44 years old. He has a bachelor's degree in business from Georgia State University. He is local in the sense that he's been in Georgia for quite a few years, decades actually. I spoke to his friend yesterday. He was the person who went for just to get a shot, and it turned into something more, so he had an overnight stay. He's a buyer at auto auctions. He's an operations manager whose business is to represent someone and go to these auto auctions like Mannheim and Bishop and whatnot, if Bishop's still around, and buy cars at wholesale. Your Honor, a careful reading of the police report makes you scratch your head about, they've identified a car and they've said that he walked around, but there's nothing in there about identifying him.
Your Honor, we would object to this. I don't think that this goes to anything as it relates to this is an issue that he can bring up at trial, but I don't think that this is relevant to the actual bond hearing itself.
Right.
Overruled. It's just a mystery as to how the police report was written, or why would they would accuse him of driving when nobody has said so. But, Your Honor, we would ask for a signature bond.
Right. I read that warrant too, but I'm afraid I don't have the same thought process as you do, Mr. McLean. And I also gave you all a certain case number to find out about the status of his prior DUI case.
I do recall you giving us that. I believe that that's closed. I'm not positive. I think I put that over here somewhere.
All right.
That is the state's understanding as well as closed, Your Honor.
Okay. With regards to this particular case, oh gosh. On the driving without a valid license and no insurance, that's going to be $1,000 each. On the improper right turn, that's going to be $500. And on the hit and run, it's going to be $500. The total bond is going to be $3,000. It is a surety bond, excuse me, and his next court date is going to be October 31st unless he bonds out. Conditions to the bond is no driving unless he has a valid driver's license attached to himself at all times, adequate insurance and proper registration for any vehicle that he operates. Thank you.
Number 16, Walker.
Rashad Walker is accused of criminal trespass and theft by taking from October 16th, 2024, under accusation 24 CR 7110F. Mr. Walker, you've been advised of your rights, and Mr. McLean is your counsel. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
23. Open air assault battery. 23 SC 186127. 2024 probation. 2019 public drunk disorderly conduct obstruction. Possession of marijuana conviction. 2019 FTA.
2019?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place on October 16, 2024 at 2784 Metropolitan Parkway. Upon arrival, officers met with Mr. ALAMGIR, who advised that a male was previously stealing from the location, was asleep inside of a blue Chevy Tahoe that was on the premise. Officers approached and detained the male. The premise owner showed officers a picture of the defendant with several tires stolen from the property and a portable dumpster and an air gun, both belonging to the victim. Your Honor, we did have victim contact, and he states that the defendant keeps coming to his business, and then the businesses in the area. He trespasses at night when no one around, breaks into customer cars and steals their belongings. The victim stated that he has called the police multiple times, but the defendant does not listen to the stay away. The victim confirmed the events in a warrant and stated that the defendant is dangerous and he needs to understand and stop trespassing. He would like no further contact, mental health evaluation, and to stay away from the location. The state's recommendation is going to be to keep the bond as is, which is a $2,000 surety bond. For the theft by taking, it'd be a $1,500. For the criminal trespass, it'd be $500. Your Honor, no further contact. Stay away from 2784 Metropolitan Parkway, and if the court can sound for the victim at the appropriate time.
Mr. Sheikh Alamgir, if you are present, this is the time to unmute and start your video. All right, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, my client went to Therrell High School, went through the 10th grade. He is a mechanic's assistant for the last year and a half. Before that, he worked 2 years at a car wash. Before that, he was doing odd jobs. He's 42 years old. I have stable phone numbers for his sister, for his friend, and for him. He has a good stable address where he gets good mail service. So there shouldn't be any problem in showing back up for a court. We'd ask the court to consider a signature bond.
My greatest concern is that this gentleman has been booked into Fulton County Jail a minimum of 3 times in 23, and this is his second arrest this year, not to mention his prior. And given the allegations, I'm going to stay with the surety bond. It's going to be $1,000 on each count. It's a surety bond to stay 200 yards away from 2784 Metropolitan Parkway in Southwest Atlanta, and to stay 200 yards away from Mr. Sheikh Alamgir. And just for your benefit, Mr. Walker, you are subject to a curfew. You have to be home by 6 p.m. and you cannot leave at 6 a.m. So if you need to find a spot to sleep, you need to do it at home and not in another car. Thank you. Next court date is October 31st.
Next is number 6.
Zachary Horton is that correct? Are you Mr. Horton? Okay. Your case number is 24 CR 007-109G. You have been accused of the following offenses from yesterday's incident: driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, speeding, possession of an open alcohol container, and child endangerment. Mr. Horton, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
6.
Mhm.
2021 suspended registration, 2011 DUI.
2011 DUI? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Cook, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. So that brings us right to about 14 years later. I'm sorry, 13 years later. We have this incident took place on 10/16 of 2024 at Bethesda and Jonesboro Road. Officers observed a white and colored Suburban traveling at 71 miles per hour in a 55-mile-per-hour zone. Emergency lights were activated, and prior to making contact with the officer observed the defendant toss a liquid from a cup out of his car. The defendant advised officers he was just leaving the bar and that he had just threw alcohol out of his window. The officers observed bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, and the odor of a alcoholic beverage. In addition, Your Honor, the defendant's 3-year-old daughter was in the back seat of the vehicle. Mr. Horton did perform field sobriety test, Your Honor, and he even blew into the intox machine, which came back with the BAC of 0.048. Your Honor, for those reasons, the state's recommendation is as follows. On the DUI is a $3,000 surety bond. On the speeding is a $1,500 SOB through pretrial services. On the possession of a open alcohol container is $200 SOB through pretrial services. And on a child endangerment is a $3,000 surety bond for a split bond total of $6,000 surety bond and a $1,700 signature bond through pretrial services.
You said 0.048?
0.048, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's below the legal limit.
That's below the legal limit of it per se, Your Honor. But of course, he's charged here with a DUI less safe.
All right. Mr. McLean?
That's my case, Your Honor. Keith Cook.
Sorry, Mr. Cook, sorry. Sorry about that.
We understand it's a DUI, but it is less safe. Yeah, 0.048 is well below the 0.08 that would be per se. So this is more based on observations from the police officer. We certainly don't have any objection to that portion of the recommendation regarding signature bonds. We would seek to have the surety portion of that, if it cannot be a signature bond, with the DUI less safe, significantly lower in total than $6,000. He has a fairly modest income. He works for DHL. He's 35 years old. We're looking at 13 years since the last DUI. Nothing much between then and now, except a registration issue. Nothing further.
On the DUI, it's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. The driving, the possession of an open alcohol, and child endangerment is going to be $1,000 each, and that's going to be a surety bond. The total bond is a $4,000 split. No driving unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. And if he's driving with any children in the car, absolutely must make sure that he doesn't consume any alcohol at all, at least 24 hours prior to driving. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. You right now have a bond condition of no alcohol, no illegal drugs, and no weapons. Thank you.
Your Honor, the surety portion was $3,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
That would be correct.
Thank you.
Position 11 and 12, Miller.
This is State versus Derek Miller, accused of theft by shoplifting on 2 separate occasions. For April 21st, 2024, the accusation is 24 CR 7106G. And for the July 6, 2024 incident, the case number is 24 CR 7107G. Mr. Miller, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney will be Mr. McLean. Any priors?
8/2010 financial transaction card fraud dismissed. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. So first we'll start with the date, the April 21st of 2024. Your Honor, and this took place at 13055 Highway 9, Alpharetta, Georgia, which is a target. Upon arrival, officers met with the loss prevention officer who stated he had footage of a theft that occurred on this particular date. In the footage, the defendant walks in with a red box of diapers, and while in the store, he can be seen placing formula, diapers, a jacket, and a toy in the cart. The suspect then walks to guest services to return the diapers, and around 1:15 p.m., he passed all points of sales. The total item is $390.89. One thing I do want to bring to the court's attention is that the target did not recover the items in this particular point. So he did leave the location. Your Honor, he does have some history out of New York. Therefore, on this particular charge, the state will recommend that we keep the bond as is, which is a $2,500 surety bond, and stay away from all targets on this particular position, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, are we dealing with the one case or the two here?
Both of them at the same time.
Right. So one was, all right, very good. So my client, Your Honor, is a middle-aged person with 3 children. Let's see, his age is, he's 66. Okay. And his children he's got 2 grown children in their 30s, but he also has children that are 5, 12, and can't see that third number. So he's a distributor with Thermo Fisher Scientific. He is involved with them for the last 10 years full time. That's in the accountancy and in the distribution of their goods. He has a bachelor's degree in economics and management from Fisk in Nashville. And apparently this is something that could be addressed with some counseling. He's been under a lot of stress lately, and we'd ask the court to consider a signature bond while he addresses those matters.
On each count is going to be $1,500. That's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. Mr. I'm so sorry. Was it Mr. Miller? Yeah.
Miller.
Yeah, Mr. Miller, you are to report to pretrial services twice a month, and your total bond is going to be a $3,000 release bond. You are to stay away not just from the Target store in question, but you have to stay away from all Target stores. You're not to enter, and I'm talking about online as well as physically. If you get arrested again, or if you fail to appear in court when summoned, or you violate the conditions of your bond, your signature bond will be amended to a cash bond or a surety bond. So please make sure that you comply. Your next court date will be sent to your current mailing address. Thank you.
Number 14, Mr. Neely.
Castell Neely is accused of battery, family violence from October 16, 2024. Mr. Neely, your case number is 24 CR 7112A. Mr. Neely, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
5th arrest, last was 09, no driver's license.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place on October 16th of 2024, where officers responded to 400 Fairburn Road regarding a woman who was assaulted by a male. Upon arrival, the officer met with the victim, Miss LaWanda Williams, who advised she was assaulted by the defendant. Officers spoke with paramedics, who advised that the victim suffered numerous lacerations to the left cheek, a large left knot on her forehead, and a toenail covered in blood on her right big toe. Continuing to investigate, the officers went to 320 Fairburn Road, which is where the defendant stays, and made contact with the defendant, and he advised officers that he got into it with the mother of his child, and that he was being attacked by the victim. He did state that the victim had a knife. Officers advised that there were previous incidents in which this particular defendant was the primary aggressor. Therefore, they decided to arrest him on this particular day. Your Honor, for those purposes, the state is going to ask for a $3,000 surety bond. I understand that he lives at 320 and the victim lives at 400, but unfortunately, we don't think that, given that there have been previous incidents, we don't think that contact is safe here. So we're going to ask for no further contact and a stay away.
Okay, Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor, those are I was looking them up on the map. Those are two separate apartment complexes that are at different points along Fairburn Road. So each one is a multi-building complex. They're different complexes. Your Honor, Mr. Neely is 35 years old. His education is through part of the 12th grade in high school. Didn't quite finish, but probably got the gist of the senior year, I imagine. He is seeking a job at CKS Packaging. He's trying to set up an appointment for interview there. He has worked in the past at DHL, scanning devices and packages. He's also worked at the airport, doing things with a FedEx contractor. The domestic violence accusations against him are fairly straightforward. We would ask the court to grant him a signature bond, and he would certainly stay away and have no contact. I didn't count how many hundreds of feet or yards if they're apart, but they can stay apart.
I certainly hope he can. Is LaWanda Williams on the Zoom? All right. Mr. Neely, it's really up to you whether you want to stay in jail or whether you want to end up being outside. But right now, your bond is going to be set at $6,000, and it's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. I'm going to require you to report to pretrial every week. The nature of these allegations are quite serious. I'm not sure what level of violence is involved between you and the victim in this case, but is enough to require you to report to pretrial once a week to make sure that you stay out of trouble. You're also required to enroll in a domestic violence program within 30 days of being released. This is a series of 26 weekly classes, and you'll be required to attend those every week. I want you to have no contact with LaWanda Williams, to stay away from where she lives. You can stay in your building. She needs to stay in her building. And if you see her outside, you need to either drive away or make sure you go back into your apartment. Now, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And you are to have no contact with the child or children that you share with her. If you want to have any contact, you would need to file a separate legitimation action and get a court order to establish visitation and custody. If you fail to comply with these, well, like I said, it's your decision. And if we find that you violate it, you will be back in jail with no bond or a cash bond. Thank you.
Position number 7 refused. He stated that his bond he was gonna pay with bond.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Position number 7, Mr. Jackson refused. He stated that he was gonna wait for his bond to be posted. Position number 8, the waiver, and I'm not sure about position number 9, refused.
Okay. Position number 7 is released, so that's going to be further notice. And what was the other? Position 8, Taquavius Lawrence, what was the announcement?
Waived.
Okay, he waived. All right, so who's representing him? Mr. McLean, was that you?
No, that's me, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Cook, your client Taquavius Lawrence is accused of criminal trespass from August 10th, accusation 24 CR 7105Y. You have waived his appearance. Any priors with regards to Mr. Lawrence?
He's been in custody since August. 2022 hit and run, fleeing an officer, 2021 probation, 2019 probation, 2018 obstruction, criminal damage to property, entering auto, 2016 FTA probation.
All right. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 5 open felony cases when I was checking earlier. This incident took place on August 10th, so this is a warrant that apparently just came in. Officers were dispatched to the victim's home. Her name is Erica Carter. Incident location is 1991 Delow Drive. She stated that the defendant came over. He's the father of her children. She wasn't home. He broke 3 windows out of her Kia and kicked in her door while her 3 children and the babysitter were home in the living room. She has received threatening text messages throughout the day prior to this incident, and there was also a verbal dispute inside the house. Also, the owner of the home showed the Ring camera footage showing the defendant destroying the property. We're requesting a $2,000 surety bond, no contact, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And we have not been in touch with Ms. Carter today. If you could stand for her.
Ms. Carter, are you on Zoom? All right. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, he seems to have a plate full on his felonies. This particular charge, though, as far as the state court is concerned, is a criminal trespass. I'm not sure what his felony bonds are, but given the nature of this charge, we would like, if possible, to look at a signature bond. But if not, surety bond as low as possible. He has no income, from what I can tell.
$1,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, and stay away from the incident location. Ms. Conley, the position 7, he was released and further notice. I don't know what bond he posted. All right. And now we have the other case. Who represents position 9? Deanna Lewis.
I do, Your Honor. She needs rehab and wants rehab and asked that I ask for a bond that would not release her at this time so that she can be visited by the social worker and given start on rehab.
It's going to be a $2,000 surety bond. And do you want me to reset it to the 11 a.m. calendar or the regular 9 a.m. SAP?
For now, the regular SAP, I think, because I don't know what is going to be addressed exactly, and I don't know what how much improvement will be made between now and then.
Okay.
Your Honor, just for the record, do we have a waiver on file of her appearance, or is she here?
No, I've form here. I'm gonna
file one.
Email it. I'm gonna email it to y'all.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, folks? Okay.
Excuse me, Your Honor, will you repeat that bond for Ms. Lewis?
2,000 surety, stay away from incident location, reset to October 31st.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, folks.
What about
Your Honor, we had I'm sorry. We had an email, I guess several people received it, on a Carwin Redding who had a slew of felonies, but apparently one misdemeanor maybe, and they were going to, he wasn't on the pull sheet. They were going to try to add him to the calendar. I guess that did not occur, so presumably he'll show up tomorrow.
Your Honor, he's it's a high profile homicide case. The misdemeanor charge is escape. It's accused. I've accused it, but my reading of the escape statute, I think it should be a felony, but we got this case around noon, so I was going to request a 1-day reset anyway. He's got no bond, and we're not in Riverside territory. He's been booked for like 24 hours, and I would imagine the DA's office probably wants to take it because it's a high profile matter. So we would just ask for a reset to tomorrow so we can have time to reach out to the DA's office and see if they're going to take it.
I don't have it on my calendar, so I'm not addressing it, and I will see y'all tomorrow, or maybe Judge Morrow will see you. Oh, I think it's me. Okay, I'll see y'all tomorrow about this case. So position number 1 is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial. Position 2 is a 3,000 surety bond. Position 3 is a 2,500 cash bond only. Position 4 is a $4,000 surety. Position 5 is a $500 surety. Position 6 is a $4,000 split with $3,000 being surety. Position 7 is released for the notice for trial hearings for trials. 8 is a $1,000 surety. 9, Lewis is a $2,000 surety. 10, Mahan is a $3,000 surety bond. Is that correct?
That's
1,
correct.
2, yeah, okay. Position 11 is a 1,500, 11 and 12, each 1,500 signature bonds with pretrial level 2. 13, Mitchum. Was that?
3,500 surety.
For what?
No, okay, yeah, going on to position 13 is a 3,500 total surety, correct? And position 14 is a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. 15, Stokes is a 5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Her attorney is Renee Rockwell. Make a note of that. Keelan Walker, position 16 is a $2,000 surety. And I can't remember what it was for the add-on. I forgot to write it down.
500 split.
Was it a 3,500 split?
I have it as a 5,500 split.
Oh, sorry,
1,500 on the
5,500.
DUR.
5,500 split, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
everyone?
thank you for staying.
I'm so sorry. It's just been a goofy day. So I do apologize if I was late. All right, everyone, I will see you tomorrow bright and early at 2 o'clock, okay?
All right.
Take care, bye-bye.
Ms. Strong, has the SAP calendar gone out yet for Tuesday?
It has, but I'll send it to you, Ms. Tiziana.
Thank you.